Artistic Gamer 7 and welcome back to another video here on the channel. And finally, after being back and running on my channel for a while, my monthly collabs are coming back, and they're coming back with a bang, sort of. This is obviously the October collab for 2020 here, after taking a really while to get the November final out from last year, and I apologize for that again. It is out, so definitely go check that out and give those people some love. But now we are on to this month's. So this month's I am doing something a little bit differently. I actually technically did not make a sim or sims or a build for this. All the sims and the build that you're seeing in this, I have previously made from different things, anywhere from other monthly collabs, my Pokemon to Cast series, occult discussion sims, things like that. So, and this was a speed build I did a really long time ago of an abandoned house that eventually I will renovate. But anyway, let's get to the actual part of this collab, which I'm having to literally repeat all this over again because I recorded literally the whole thing and realized my mic was not actually recording, so this is a whole lot of fun. But basically, I actually came up with 6 stories. I was originally going to do 8 stories since I have 8 sims here, but because of time and things like that, I decided just to do 6. Otherwise, telling these stories would have made a really long video. I'm still worried this video is going to be longer than I want it to be, but we'll see as time goes on. Now here are basically the idea and rules for the collab. You basically get to pick whichever story you want to base a sim or a build off of. Yes, I am doing a monthly collab that is either create a sim or a build. You don't have to, it's not just a build or just create a sim, it's both! So you can pick whichever one, and you are allowed to do a create a sim and a build if you want. So if you like two different stories a whole lot, you could still do something for both stories. You can just do a cast for one of them and a build for the other, or if you want to make the sims or whatever for the story and the build for the same story, you can also do that as well. Basically here, after I explain all the rules and other things like that, I will be telling these stories, and eventually you can tell me which, afterwards you can tell me which story you choose and tell me whether you're going to be doing build, cast, or both, and I will put your name down in my little book that I have here for this collab. There's not a limit of people that can join, so as many people can join as they want, so definitely feel free to share the video if you think anyone would be interested. I know usually October related stuff, like the one other October collab I had, a lot of people were really interested in and things like that. A lot of people enjoy the spooky season, and as you may have noticed, my blood princess from that collab is one of the ones that has returned. I felt like she had to in this case. But on to the rules. Any pack is allowed, and because I am someone who, when it comes to CC, I can part ways with it when building, and plus getting build CC is a lot harder than getting sim CC sometimes, and things like that. But I'm someone who I can't make a sim without CC. I like my skin details and my hairs and all my clothing options and things like that. So, because of that, I am allowing CC to be used, and that is for create a sim or a speed build, but you do not have to use CC. If you do use CC, I will ask you to actually send me screenshots, because it would be very hard to tour or look through the Sims outfits for create a sim. Also, talking about screenshots and CC, there is one pack, technically, that I do not own, which is the Journey to Batu, and I'm not really quite sure if I will ever own it. It would have to be on some sort of sale or something. It doesn't interest me, and it doesn't have enough in it for build or cast or anything that I personally would use enough for me to actually buy it. So I will say sorry for those of you who have Journey of Batu and have things that you want to use in it. You still can feel free to use it, it's just you have to almost act like it's CC for me, so you'll have to send me screenshots if you use anything from that pack as well, otherwise it will not show up in my game. Now when it comes to the builds, you can use any size lot you feel that you need to use. It's unlimited money, so you can challenge yourself and make it be like a low money form, or you can just spend as much money on the build as you want. When it comes to create a sim, I highly encourage you to do more than one outfit. You can do like multiple everyday outfits, you can do an outfit for each category. Just make sure you send me screenshots of all the outfits that you do make for the sim. You can also feel free to add a story to the sim as well, or the build, if you add on to my story and what you take, because some parts of the story is meant to be loosely based so that you can have your own interpretation of the story or have a little creativity and play on your own from what you gather from the stories that I will be telling in this video. And also with the Create a Sim, if you do multiple outfits and stuff, when you send the screenshots, please tell me whether or not it's like everyday 1, 2, 3, or if it's like everyday, if this picture is everyday and this picture is their sleepwear and this one's their party wear, stuff like that, so that when I do show them on the final video that will be going out towards the end of the month, I can say like, oh, they made this as their party outfit, so you know, when I'm talking about your sim, I can include that in there as well. Now, because of the way this video is, where you're basing it off a story, and all the stories are technically going to be in one video, but you're only going to be using 1 or 2 stories if you decide to do both a build and a cast, maybe. I will be having a pinned comment down below. Once the video goes live, I will put a comment on there and pin it with the time codes of when each story starts. So basically, it makes it easier for you to be able to, if you forgot certain details or you just need to rehear the story or whatever, you can go back to that time code easier and find your particular story so that you don't have to try to sort through the video or watch most of the video over again to find your story. The due date for this collab, I tend to do a preferred and a final. My preferred is when I want basically everyone's builds to be done, but I will still accept them at the final. The preferred usually gives me more time to actually set up the final video and get everything together, so if everyone or the majority of people get it done by then, I can easily just add the few people remaining who post it or give me the stuff by the later date, and just easily add them in more than trying to do everyone's at the same time on a shorter time span. And I do this because I know sometimes things can happen. I definitely know that, so if something happens in the middle of the month and you get a little behind on your build or creating your sims, or if you put it off because you have other things going on and you think you'll have enough time and something comes up, I understand. Again, I prefer everyone to try to meet the preferred date, but at the latest, the final date. The preferred date is October 26th, and the final date is October 28th. So definitely by the 28th, I would definitely like to have everyone's in so that I can get the video ready and put together for the 31st. Definitely feel free to ask me any questions that you have if you're unsure about something, or you not totally 100% on something, or you're a little iffy, like it seems fuzzy to you. Definitely feel free to ask me down in the comments below or over on my Twitter. I highly suggest following my Twitter. That's an easier place to ask me these questions. I also try to make a group chat, like a group DM for everyone in the collab, so that everyone has a space where they can go and ask questions. And if someone has a similar question to you, you can easily go there and look and see if anyone's asked it. And a lot of times that helps others, because a lot of times people have some similar questions, so, and also it's a great place to help each other. I like seeing in my collabs where people are they're actually always helping each other and things like that when they're not sure about something or whatever, so it is really nice to sort of just be able to talk all together as well. Oh, and one thing I do want to mention real quick before I get to the stories, actually. I do know that some people are more sensitive when it comes to things around like horror. I do have these stories in an order of what is the most lighthearted to the most spooky, so that just in case someone still wants to participate in the collab but isn't sure if the more spooky ones will bother them in any way, I do have them in that order. So once you get past the 3rd one, that's when more of those darkish elements come in, but I don't think any of them are bad. I don't think any of them should be too bothersome, but just in case, I did want to put this in here. It's just like a just in case thing, so just be knowing of that. The first story in today's story time is The Creature in the Attic. There is a nice family home in a little suburban area that has an attic that only children can see. Many have examined and investigated this house, looking for the attic as many children described, but the way that the house is made doesn't make sense for what the children are telling them. There's just no space for such an attic. This has scared many away from the house. Many move out of it quickly once hearing the stories. Others who know the stories avoid it at all costs. Till some people started really paying attention to some of the stories that the kids were telling. The kids did have all different descriptions of the attic and the creature that lives within. Some kids even said that the creature looked scary to them, but for some reason, they felt safe and comfort when near it. The scariness of their looks didn't deter the children. Now, though the attic looks different for every child, and even the creature looks different for every child, there are some things that are common for each child's story. The creature, no matter how sweet or how scary looking, was always very kind and caring to the children. It would help the kids with their homework and any other problems that they had going on, always cheering them up and making sure that they were okay. Kids who had lived in the house or visited the house because their friends lived there and had met the creature in the attic had only good things to say about the creature. Even on into their adulthood, they would talk about how they cherished the memories that they had shared with the creature in the mysterious attic. When young, all these kids seemed extremely happy. They did well at school, and they were always eager to help around the house and help others around them. So, some of these people who started noticing some of these things about the stories the kids tell, and the fact that the kids seem to all do alright, and seem to be really well off even into their adulthood, started to wonder if there really wasn't much to worry about the house. Though it might be a creepy feeling thinking about there being a creature in a mysterious attic. But if the creature was helping these children, is it really that bad? Would you live in the house with the creature in the attic? Our next story is a bit of a strange one, known as the Wandering Flower. Ever heard of the Wandering Flower? No one knows what it is. It always appears differently. It's never the same. Is it something magical? Something technically biological? No one knows. When was it born or created? Was it very recent? Or has it been centuries? No one knows. Where did it come from? Did it come from a random field? Or some mountaintop? Somewhere far away? Somewhere close by? No one really knows. Or why is it the way that it is? Why is it always changing? Being different? Never the same? It's a very strange thing. The only constant thing that people have noted is seeing a strange flower somewhere in their town, in their garden, in the park, and soon after, a strange person appears. And when that person leaves, the last person it sees, it tells them, "I am the Wandering Flower. The next time we meet, things won't be the same." And truly, if you do meet them again, things will not be the same. The plant is never the same. The person who shows up afterwards is never the same. The amount of time the Wandering Flower stays is never the same. Could be a day, could be a week, multiple weeks, months. You never know. Sometimes, in its plant form, it is a glowing daisy with strange leaves, foul odor, and sometimes it's an enormous strawberry plant with strangely colored strawberries. Purple, blue, white. You never know. It's just odd. Just know, if you do see a strange plant in your garden, or your community garden, or the park down the street, be prepared for a strange visit, and hope things are not too bad for you, for you never know what you're going to get with the Wandering Flower. Sometimes the personality that carries on with the person is great. Sometimes it's bad. Just hope. If the Wandering Flower does visit you and your neighborhood, hope it's one of the nicer of the flowers. The next story my Sims have to tell you is about the spellbound siblings. There was once 4 siblings. They lived with their mother in a small town. People always said something was wrong with the mother, but the kids seemed perfectly healthy. Fine. Nothing wrong with them. so no one really pressed much into the matter. As the siblings grew, people said the children began to act sort of odd and strange like their mother. But anyone who would bring it up would have strange things happen to them. Nothing really too bad, but still strange. So eventually people just let it be. Then when other kids and teenagers started to make fun of and bully the siblings, all of a sudden those kids and teenagers would get sick. Not too badly sick. It would vary though sometimes. Sometimes it was just a day, sometimes it was a week. Never nothing too serious. But still, odd. So the kids and the teenagers eventually left the siblings alone. Eventually the mother began to homeschool the siblings, so many stopped seeing them around too often except for nearby the house. Eventually, as they got older, their mother began to get very ill. After her passing, the siblings had bought some land up on top of the small hill above the neighborhood. One night, they were seen coming out into the darkness with candles, and what was believed to be their mother's ashes. No one's really sure, but that's what people think it was. They stayed there all night, for someone had saw them early in the morning, finally coming back down off the hill. Soon after, they eventually built a house up on the hill. Once the house was done, they moved up there and started living secluded from the others. People started seeing strange Sims go up the hill and be around the hill. Sims that many believed to be vampires, werewolves, fairies, you name it, and other strange creatures wandering around. No one goes near the hill. No one even knows what the siblings even look like anymore, for it's been a long time since they've been seen. No one even knows what the house that they have up on the hill even looks like. No one dares close. No one dares go close. If you were dared to go, would you go up to the spellbound siblings' house on the hill? Next, we have the tale of the boy on the bridge. Several decades ago, there was this teenage boy, known by basically everyone in the town, but not really truly known by most. He was sort of a loner type, but was always extremely kind to others. He may not talk much, but he would always be one of the first ones to help out anyone in need. Sadly, one day, he was the one who was in needing of help. No one knows exactly what happened, but it is believed that when walking home one day from the store during a bad storm, the boy had slipped and fell on the town bridge. Around the same time in the neighboring town, the dam had broken, making water rush through streams and rivers nearby. Eventually, it covered the low bridge that the boy was on, and by the time people had realized that he had been gone a while during a bad storm, it was already too late. Since then, people report seeing a teenage boy on that exact same bridge every time there is a storm. He's always looking up the stream, as if watching for something, before ever looking at the people. Usually, once he starts looking towards them, he's smiling, seems happy and content, and begins to wave them on across the bridge. Though sometimes, when he finally looks at the people, he looks panicked and worried. He holds his hand out as if to say stop. If the people don't listen, and they try to walk or drive across the bridge, suddenly the boy begins running towards them, before disappearing. After he disappears, people who are driving always note that their cars all of a sudden just die. They stop running. And those that are trying to walk start feeling as if they're getting tugged backwards, though no one is behind them. Shortly after, the stream starts to flood. The bridge begins to get covered in water. So, if you truly pay attention to this tale, know to always pay attention to the boy on the bridge. Next, we would like to share with you the story of the children of the woods. Once there was these two little girls. They were extremely close to one another, almost inseparable, the bestest of friends. Sadly, many of the other kids in the neighborhood really didn't have much to do with the girls. But, in all honesty, the girls didn't care. They had each other, and that's what really mattered to them. They would always play together any chance they got. After school, on the weekends, during the summer. The parents was quite happy with it. Yeah, they didn't have many friends, but they were close, and they had each other. And they were excited to know that their girls would probably be there for each other as they grow old, always there for one another. One day, the two girls began playing in the woods back behind one of their houses. And after that day, they continued to always play in the woods. After some time, the girls actually began talking about a third friend that they had been playing with in the woods. Eventually, one of them described the kid to their mother. The mother thought this description of the child seemed familiar, but she couldn't quite place it. So, at the time, she wasn't really too worried about it. Then the girls began to act strange, odd. No one knew exactly what was going on. So one day the mother decided to follow the girls into the woods. She was concerned and wanted to make sure that this friend they talked about was truly a child, and not someone sinister. Once in the woods, the girls seemed to be talking to someone, though the mother couldn't see anyone. Then she began to believe that it was just an imaginary friend that the two girls came up with together. Nothing wrong with that. Though, in the back of her mind, something wasn't right. One day she began researching about the child that her daughter had described to her. There was still a part about it that seemed familiar, and this feeling she couldn't quite shake of something not right. She eventually found a child that actually matched the description that had been in the news. She was honestly horrified, but she come to learn that the description almost perfectly matched a child who had went missing 42 years before. It got worse when she started reading the reports about the child right before he went missing. The reports stated that the boy had begun acting strange shortly before his disappearance, that he began playing in the woods back behind his house, and talking about two imaginary friends that he had met in the woods, though the boy apparently didn't say they were imaginary. But that's what his parents thought they were. The boy eventually disappeared without a trace. No one had seen him, and no one knew where he had went. Reading this news, she rushed home, only to find her husband frantically calling the police. The girls were missing. No one had seen them for hours. They were last seen going to the woods, but they wasn't there. Nowhere in the woods. No one could find them. People searched and searched for days, weeks, months, but nothing. Eventually, 25 years passed. The families had moved away, because the area just gave them an eerie feeling. But the one mother, she still came back to visit every once in a while. And on her recent visit, she had seen a girl talking by herself. She asked the girl who she was talking to. The response the little girl gave sent chills to her core. The girl had told her 2 names. One of the names was the same name as her daughter, the other the same as her daughter's friend. And so, the cycle continued. And the last story that my Sims have to tell for you today is the story of the life tree and the death maiden. There goes a tale of a tree that has seen more life and death than any other tree around it. This tree has been around for several centuries. No one is exactly sure how long, but they know it's a while, from the countless tales that have been passed on from generation to generation. Anyone who has tried to figure out the exact time frame of how long the tree's been alive, or at least around, ends up becoming sick afterwards. Anyone coming too close to the tree or fooling with the tree too much become ill. Some only for a day, some for a while, but didn't seem to ever be lethal. Now that's not the strangest part of this tale. The mysterious maiden that is associated with the tree makes the story even more complex, mysterious, and eerie. This woman is seen visiting at least 4 times a year. Once during spring, once during summer, once during the fall, and once during the winter. And every time she is seen at the tree, she is burying something underneath it. No one knows exactly sure what she's burying, because no one dares go close to her, to the tree. She, in particular, gives off this creepy feeling, makes the hairs on the back of your necks stand straight up, so no one dares get too close. Days after her visits, the tree begins to give off an odd color. Usually shades and tints of reds, sometimes purples. No one knows who this woman is, or where she comes from, or how she's living as long as this tree, supposedly, because she is always in every tale associated with the tree. She's always noted as wearing some type of dress. Sometimes it's a simple dress, sometimes a ornate dress, sometimes long, sometimes short. But it's always a dress of some kind, and her hair is always blowing through the wind, but no one else really feels a breeze going through the air when she walks by. It just seems to be around her. This maiden and the tree are tied together somehow. No one quite knows, but most don't want to know anymore. Too many odd coincidences, too many strange things surrounding this tale. So as this tale is passed on from generation to generation, many tell others, do not go near the tree. Do not try to hurt the tree, touch the tree in any way. And especially if you see the woman, do not go near her. Do not try and make eye contact or talk to her, for who knows what could happen. This woman has an eerie vibe to her, and along with the tree's story, something just isn't right. And that ends our story time for today. I hope you've enjoyed. So just please let me know which of these stories you would like to base your build or sim/sims off of down in the comments below or over my Twitter. Again, my Twitter is preferred because I will be making a DM group chat so that everyone could sort of help one another, talk to one another, ask questions and things like that, and be able to, communicate. And that's also where it would be easier for me to get all the information you would like down in the description below of the final. Again, if you have any questions, definitely feel free to ask me. This is quite a different type of sort of collab video idea that I came up with. I don't know if I've seen anyone do this as like an idea before. With my monthly collabs, sometimes I do just do shells or something like that, but I do try to put spins and twists on them or try something new, and this was definitely something that I don't really think I've ever seen anyone do for a collab idea, and I thought it would be really, really cool and interesting for October, considering October is spooky season, and a lot of times there is little spooky tales associated with Halloween and October in general. So I hope you were very, very interested in this collab and liked the video. Again, the time codes for each story is going to be down below, so that if you need to refresh yourself on which story that you have done, it will be down there listed below. And just as a reminder, these stories are The Creature in the Attic, The Wandering Flower, The Spellbound Siblings, The Boy on the Bridge, Children of the Woods, The Life Tree, and Death Maiden. Again, let me know which one of those you're interested in. Share the video and share the idea with others so that many others can join, or if you think you know someone who would be interested in it, definitely let them know about the collab. Again, there's no limit on this one. This one literally is like trying to be like a bang of monthly collabs starting back up again. So, starting it off huge, hopefully. So, anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!